Have you ever wanted infinite consecration slams that give you amplified, radiant, heals, damage, and armor charges? Me too, that's why I made this build, a remake of the previous video I made several months ago, with further buffs to Pyrogale Gauntlets and most importantly, the release of Prismatic, consecration builds have peaked in strength. I've made my very own version of this and I'm ready to share it with all of you. So without further ado, let's get on with the video. This build starts off with our aspect, Consecration. This aspect allows us to use half of our melee charge to unleash a wave of flame, scorching targets. If you press melee again while in the air, you can use the rest of that charge to slam back down to the ground, creating another large flame wave that ignites on hit. This is already very strong, but we can make it so much better by taking Pyrogale Gauntlets as our exotic armor piece. This exotic's ability, Percussive Flames, makes our second slam with Consecration do much more damage and make fiery tornadoes at the point of contact. These tornadoes will also scorch, making even more explosions, which I'm sure everybody loves. This exotic also makes the Burning Maul super deal much more damage, but we will not be using this much considering the fact we will be using the Prismatic subclass, which we'll move on to right now. For our second aspect, we will be taking Knockout, which will give our Consecration increased damage and range when lowering combatants to critical health. Not only that, but it will grant us Amplified and a heal when defeating a combatant with our Consecration. Moving on to our abilities, we will be taking the Towering Barricade. This version of the class ability will allow us to take cover when we are taking heavy damage and allow us to regenerate. We will also take the Pulse Grenade, which will allow us to balance good damage and add clear at the same time. This can be switched out for the Shackle Grenade, which will add a touch of crowd control, but really, the choice is yours. Our melee will be crucial in this build, as we will take Frenzied Blade, not because of how good it is, no, but because it has 3 charges, allowing us to spam 3 Consecration slams in a row, either to decimate a boss, clear ads, or maybe even both. For our super, it's really a choice of preference. I took Twilight Arsenal for good quick damage, but you can very easily also take something like Blade Fury for a mix of add clear and damage, Glacial Quake for crowd control, or something else. Next, for our fragments, we'll start off with Facet of Sacrifice, which will make our ability final blows, including Consecration, grant Dark Transcendence energy on top of the light energy it already creates. This alone will make our Consecration carry our Transcendence making. And before I get into anything else, let me just make something straight. Transcendence is broken for this build. It allows us to recharge Consecrations like never before, and it just lets us spam them and get more energy for doing that. Alright, with that out of the way, let's move on to Facet of Blessing, and this fragment starts health regeneration when getting a single melee kill, which will heavily boost the survivability of this build. Next, we will take Facet of Ruin. This fragment will increase the size of our solar ignitions and the size of Shatter if you figure out how to make that work. Facet of Balance will help get our melee right back when using our Consecration. This fragment grants melee energy back when rapidly defeating targets with light energy, which Consecration. Finally, we will take Facet of Dawn, which will give our weapon damage a flat 25% increase. Not only that, but it'll proc Facet of Sacrifice, which controls our Transcendence gains. Before I say anything else though, I want to say that there is a Mobalytics guide in the description for you to copy everything I have and will say and paste it onto your hunter. Anyway, with the subclass screen out of the way, let's move on to our armor mods. On our helmet, we will take Solar Siphon to generate us Orbs of Power, and Heavy Ammo Finder, and Heavy Ammo Scout. On our gloves, we will take 2 copies of Heavy Handed to generate more Orbs of Power, along with Melee Kickstart to use armor charges to gain melee energy after use. On our chest piece, we will take Charged Up to increase the amount of armor charges we can carry at once, and any other resist mods of your liking. But how will we get armor charges? Well, on our leggings, we will take Stacks on Stacks to gain said charges after picking up an Orb of Power. Along with that, we will take Recuperation and Invigoration to grant melee and health on Orb pickup. On our mark, we will take Powerful Attraction to quickly pick up Orbs of Power, Reaper to generate orbs after using our class ability, and Outreach to grant melee energy when using our class ability, which can help us get that last bit of energy if you're in that situation where you have no melee to use Consecration. With our armor mods done, let's get into weapons. My recommended exotic weapon is Sunshot, as it does clear ads like crazy. Some other weapons could be something like Still Hunt or Dragon's Breath. For our primary, I would do something to deal with champions, especially if you're using Sunshot. Weapons I use are the Call, Riptide, and if you're using an exotic heavy, Loaded Question. But with that, I've said everything that needs to be said, so DestinyVerse out.